Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. One common example of people defining terms by non-essentials is the definition of man as a social animal. This is really common when a lot of people talk about what a human being is and what separates humanity from the animals. They say, oh, humanity is a social animal. That's why we can produce all these things. We cooperate and we produce these incredible things. This is common all throughout academia, common throughout the humanities, what's the word? Social sciences? I don't know if that's the right word, but the sciences like sociology and all the stuff that like looks at how human beings behave and interact and those sort of things. The soft sciences, I guess. But that's a common definition throughout most sciences. Most people would when asked to define a human being, would say the social animal. These are the animals that interact with other animals. No, this is not defining a human being by its essentials. What separates a human being is his rational faculty. Now, why do I say this? Why do I say that what makes a human being different is their rational faculty rather than their ability to socialize? Well, let's look across the animal kingdom. Wolves form packs. Fish travel in schools. Animals seem to be very keen on socializing, on working together to do certain things. This is not something that's unique to human beings. Now, we see that the specific way that human beings interact is different than from how animals act or interact with each other. Human beings interact through trade, through win-win transactions, through production and trade. Animals don't do this. So we see that there's this distinct way that separates animals and humans, the interactions between humans and other humans, the social, the way that humans and interact with other humans and the way that animals interact with other animals. We see that there's this distinction here between like the social nature of both of them. But both animals and humans are social. Like or not all animals, but some animals are social as well. So if we wanted to say call man the social animal, we would include a bunch of other things would be included under this definition and it doesn't really effectively differentiate humans from these other animals. Now, what actually does differentiate humans from these other animals and explains the differences that we see in the social interaction between a human being and animals? It's man's rational faculty. This is the human means of survival. This is how humans think. This is how humans live in reality. Human beings form concepts and use reason to integrate those concepts and figure out what to do next, figure out what actions to take in reality. This is how human beings survive. No other animal survives like this. Most other animals survive based on their speed, based on their strength, based on anything else related to that. That's not how human beings survive. And animals, as we see, do not have the same conceptual faculty that humans have. They operate on the perceptual level. You can observe this in basically how any animal acts. You don't see animals producing things and trading them, or communicating with each other with anything more than just barks and howls and growls and those sort of things. Humans form complex languages. They form complex systems of thought, and these languages actually, for human beings, their primary purpose, this is actually something that differentiates animals and humans quite a bit too. So one could try to define human beings by the animal that uses language. But this is also defining by a non-essential, because what is the purpose of language? A lot of people think it's to be social. This is, once again, not an essential. The purpose of language is to help us form concepts. It's so that instead of seeing instead of holding a bunch of pictures of books in our head, and saying, okay, this is that entity, with all these different units. No, we form one concept. We form one word that identifies every single book. It's similar to in math when you have a variable. It can be any single value, but you encompass every single value into that one variable. That's not super precise. There's a lot of problems with that analogy, but that's what I thought of off the top of my head. But that's that. Rand uses that in a different context in her epistemology books, or in ITOE, and I kind of applied it there. And don't take that analogy too seriously. There are some glaring mistakes with that I could get into. But yeah, the primary function of language is not to be social. It's to form concepts in our mind, to hold concepts in our mind. Obviously, we can communicate because of that, and that helps us communicate. But the essential here is still, once again, reason. So man is the rational animal. That defines the essential. That differentiates them from all other animals. Animal being the genus for defining a man, and the differentia being rationality. And rationality is the essential here, because what is an essential? An essential is that which encompasses the greatest number of concrete things in a human being, and differentiates them from other things. So, like, for example, like I've given two examples of things that rationality includes. Rationality defines the specific way that we see humans interact with other human beings through trade, through production, win-win transactions, and it defines how we speak, our language. That's another thing that differentiates from animals. So rationality seems to be this essential because it covers the broadest range of things that define a human being, of descriptors of a human being. So that is why you can say a human being is defined as the rational being. Now, one common issue that comes after people say that man is the social animal, they begin to put society as a primary, because if man is the main thing that makes a human being is the fact that it's part of a society, that means that it's not hard to get to the conclusion that their primary duty is to sacrifice to the society, make society as good as possible. That this isn't, once again, an issue. A human being is a rational being. A human being only experiences their own life and has a rational faculty. That's the defining feature. And the rational faculty is only an individual faculty. So some people, they'll say society, so they have society as this primary that we need to sacrifice for. No, the purpose of society should be to benefit us. That's why we enter into a society. That's why we interact with a society, because of the win-win transactions that are possible. This is also, once again, part of what makes humans unique. The fact that we have a rational faculty and we can think long term, and we can basically exchange values for values. We can create this hierarchy of values and decide which sort of values we want to trade for another value. And that leads to one really important aspect of human interaction, which is trade. That's one thing. So that's one positive thing that we get from human interaction. Another positive thing, which also is related to rationality, is the knowledge that gets passed down from other human beings. Other people, they can do this first-hand sort of integration of reality, can do science on it and discover something, and then they can pass down that truth and explain how they came to that, and make this process of integration, make this process of conceptualizing that knowledge a lot quicker for us. So then we can get that down and we can expand on it even more. And that's how knowledge tends to develop over time. This is also very much related to the fact that humans are rational beings. So the reason why humans are rational beings, or why humans are social animals, is because of our rational faculty. The rational faculty is the explanatory variable behind why we are social animals. So as a consequence of this, and the final conclusion of this video, man is the rational animal. He is not the social animal. If you think that if you define man as the social animal, you are defining the term by non-essentials, and you need to check your premises and look at what you're getting wrong, because everything points to man being the rational animal. That is the essential here. That's the essential thing to define it. So you have a bad definition if you call man the social animal. Sure, it's part of being a man, part of being a human being is to be social. But what explains that is the rational faculty. So, once again, in conclusion, man is the rational animal. And I think that is all I have to say for today. So, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace.